Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel James Biology.
Friends, please hit the subscribe button, then the bell icon and all button so that you can get notification of all my videos.
In this particular video session, we will discuss about the wildlife and their conservation, right? So, what are the importance of wildlife? Why they need to be conserved and how they are conserved. In the previous session, we have discussed about the wildlife, their uses, their importance, and what are the causes of their extinction. So you can watch the video session in the I button here, and in this video session we will discuss in detail about the conservation of biodiversity or wild animals. So in this session we will discuss about conservation of biodiversity. Particularly, we will discuss about the conservation of wild animals which are endangered. What do we mean by endangered? My dear friends, endangered species means endangered species are the species which are in risk of extinction, which may lead to extinction. So why they are endangered and why the extinction of some species occurs? Because of change in the environment, the climatic condition, which is normally induced by human beings, right? So we need to conserve the wild animals to protect our biodiversity, and this conservation is of two different types. Okay, so particularly we will conserve the biodiversity in how many ways? In two ways broadly. One is the ex-situ conservation and another is the in-situ conservation. Okay, so what do we mean by in-situ and ex-situ? My dear friends, ex-situ means conservation of wild animals in an artificially developed environment. Okay, so this is outside their natural habitat. Okay, and in situ conservation is conservation in their natural habitat. Okay, so in situ conservation is also known as on-site conservation. So it is also called on-site conservation. Okay, on-site conservation, whereas the ex-situ conservation is known as off-site conservation. Right, off-site conservation. So ex-situ conservation is the conservation of wild animals in an artificially developed environment which is exactly equivalent to their natural habitat, which looks like, which feels them that as if they are living in their natural habitat, but actually it is artificially developed. Okay, whereas in situ conservation is their original habitat, their natural habitat where they actually originally found. Right, so conservation of wild animals in their original habitat is in situ conservation, whereas protecting or conserving the wild animals in an environment which is artificially developed is known as ex-situ conservation. Okay, so my dear friends, we can conserve the animals in two different ways. One is on-site conservation in their natural habitat, another is off-site or ex-situ conservation, which is not exactly their natural habitat, but developed by human being to protect them, right? So these are the two important types of conservation of wildlife. So now we will discuss first about the in situ conservation, which is very important and which plays a very important role in conserving the wild animals and different varieties of plants also in their natural habitat. So let's discuss in detail about in situ conservation. So friends, conservation is the protection, restoration, management of wildlife. Okay, so when we conserve, restore or manage the wildlife in their actual or natural habitat, we will call that in situ conservation. Under in situ conservation, we will discuss about the national parks, second, the sanctuaries, and third, the biosphere reserves. Okay, so these are the three most important way of protecting the wild animals in their natural habitat or on-site conservation. So on-site conservation of wild animals and plants, their restoration, their management can be possible by these three means: by making a specific area, by declaring a specific area as national park or sanctuary or the biosphere reserve. So remember, the national park, sanctuary and biosphere reserve in India makes 4.2% of the total geographical land. So the total geographical land out of the total 4.2% makes the national park, sanctuaries and biosphere reserve that are made in order to protect the wild animals and plants in their natural habitat. So my dear friends, let's discuss one by one these three important means of in situ conservation. So my dear friends, let's start with national parks. So in situ conservation, the most important and highly protected areas are the national parks. Remember, in India, there are more than 650 protected areas together, the national park, sanctuary and biosphere, out of which the highest number is number of sanctuaries, that is 543. As per the current time or recent time, the total number of sanctuaries is 543, total number of national parks is 104, and the total number of biosphere is 18. Okay, so total number of biospheres in India 18, total number of sanctuaries is 543, and total number of national parks is 104, right? So the conserved areas are formed and declared, the rules and regulations are declared by IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. So IUCN, according to the norms or the rule of IUCN, the different protected areas has different function and different level of security, right? Okay, so national park is highly secured place. Total 104 number of national parks are there in India, and remember, the first national park in India was established in the year 1936, and the national park is Haley National Park. Haley National Park, which is now called as the Jim Corbett National Park, right? So Haley National Park or the Jim Corbett National Park is the first, yes, the first national park established in India in the year 1936. And remember, in national park area there is no private land is allowed. The boundary of the national park is very strict and well developed boundaries are there, so that no hunting and poaching of animals is allowed, no human interference is allowed, no human activities allowed inside the national park, so that the animals can wander here and there happily without any disturbance. So national parks are the most developed and the land which is not permissible to any human beings or any private occupation, right? So national parks are the highly protected areas for the secure and development and growth as well as reproduction of the wild animals. Friends, now we will move to the second type of conservation, that is sanctuaries, the second type of conserved area which is having the highest number. That is, in India 543 sanctuaries are there, right? And these are less conserved, means the rules are not so strong like that of the national parks. The sanctuaries also help in protecting the wild animals and vegetation in a particular area, which also saves the wild animals in their natural habitat, right? So here also hunting and poaching is strictly prohibited. So you cannot enter into a sanctuary and hunt or kill an animal there, right? So they are also conserved in the sanctuaries, but in case of sanctuaries, the boundary is less developed or protected, whereas the national parks, the boundaries are well developed and strictly protected. Right, my dear friends? So we will discuss at the end about the different examples of the national parks, sanctuaries and biosphere reserves in India, the most important national parks, sanctuaries and biosphere reserves. So remember, the sanctuaries function with respect to the Project Elephant, Project Tiger, Project Lion in order to save elephant, tiger, lion in a specific area where they are available. They are plentifully present. In that specific sanctuary, these projects work to protect these endangered species for making their survival ensure. Right? So now we will move to the biosphere reserves. Friends, the biosphere reserve is a special category protected area where human also forms a part of the system. So let's see what is a biosphere reserve and how it helps in the protection of wild animals. So my dear friends, the biosphere reserve has specifically three different layers. So at the center, it is the core or the core zone. Then periphery to the core zone, it is the buffer zone. And finally, there is a transitional layer or the transitional zone. Okay, so the biosphere can be divided into three different zones. The core zone, where no human activity is permitted, where the wild animals are strictly protected, right? Next one is the buffer zone, where the scientific research activities is allowed. People for educational activities are also allowed into the buffer zone. And the transitional zone is the place where the people, I told you that human beings are also a part of this biosphere reserve, means the transitional zone, it is the area where the tribal people live, their culture, their tradition is protected in this specific area, and other human beings from outside are not allowed into this specific region. They are allowed under certain conditions like the educational purpose or research purpose. This is also forms a natural library for the scientists. They can do different research activities in the biosphere region, and educational or study tour can also be a recreational activities in this transitional zone. Forestry, agriculture, fishery are allowed, and the culture and tradition of the tribal people of that specific area remains in the transitional zone, and that is also protected. So human beings forms a part of this biosphere region along with the wild animals at the core zone, right? So that is how biosphere region has a very important role, and it occupy a very large area. Sometimes biosphere region may have more than one national parks inside it. Okay, so these are the three different types of in situ conservation or on-site conservation, conservation of wild animals in their natural habitat, right? National parks, sanctuaries, and biosphere region. So let's now look at the importance of hotspots. How many hotspots are there in the world, and how many hotspots are related to Indian geographic areas. So before knowing the number of hotspots on the earth surface, let's know what is the hotspot. So my dear friends, hotspots are the area which are having highest number of endemism. So what is endemism? Endemism means more endemic species are found in that area. Endemic means found in a particular area, confined to a specific region, right? So endemic species or the endemism makes a specific area hotspot, because in that particular area a specific type of animal is found, and in other areas of the earth that specific animal is not found. So if that animal extinct from the region, then it will extinct from the world, right? So that is why the concept of hotspot developed, and on earth there are 34 different hotspots. Okay, so out of the 34 different hotspots, 3 are present in the geographical area of India. So what are the 3 different hotspots? One is the Western Ghat plus Sri Lanka, along with Sri Lanka. Okay, second one is the Himalayan region, Himalayan area. Okay, so Western Ghat with Sri Lanka, Himalayan area, and Indo-Burman area. Another is Indo-Burma area. So these are the 3 different hotspots related with Indian geographical area: Western Ghat plus Sri Lanka, Himalayan area, and Indo-Burman area, right? So remember, these hotspots, development of these hotspots reduces the ongoing extinction process, because extinction process is continuously going on due to human interference, due to climatic change, and all such different activities. So the development of hotspots reduce ongoing mass extinction. The hotspots reduce ongoing mass extinction by 30%. So mass extinction means extinction of many different endangered species together. Okay, coextinction means the extinction of one species makes other species to extinct, is the cause of the extinction of some other species. So the development of hotspot or the protected areas, due to the development of hotspots, the mass extinction, the ongoing mass extinction reduced by 30%. So this is very important for the examination point of view. These three regions, hotspots present in India, are also very important. The number 34 total number of hotspots on the Earth's surface. This is also very important, right? And do not forget this one, 4.2% of the geographical area are occupied by different conservational land, or the in situ conservation or the on-site conservation. So the National Park Sanctuary and Biosphere Region together forms the 4.2% of the geographical areas, right? So this is all about the conservation in their natural habitat, that means in situ conservation. So my dear friends, let's look at some examples of important national parks, sanctuaries and biosphere reserves. Friends, now you can see the examples of some national parks, sanctuaries and biosphere reserve found in our country. So let's start from national park. The first national park to be introduced, Jim Corbett National Park, Uttarakhand; Kaziranga, Assam; Kanha National Park, Madhya Pradesh; Sundarban, West Bengal; Similipal, Odisha; Gir National Park, Gujarat; Bandipur National Park, Karnataka. So these are the very important national parks of our country. Next sanctuary, Chilka Bird Sanctuary, Odisha; Indira Gandhi Wildlife Sanctuary, Tamil Nadu; Bhadra Wildlife Sanctuary, Karnataka; Diwang Wildlife Sanctuary, Arunachal; Tikarpada Wildlife Sanctuary, Odisha and Chandaka Wildlife Sanctuary, Odisha. In Biosphere Reserve, we have Simlipal Biosphere Reserve, Odisha. I told you that inside the Biosphere Reserve, maybe one or more national parks are also present, so that you can also see Simlipal National Park here in the list of national park, which is also included in Biosphere Reserve. So no confusion in this, because the Biosphere Reserve, the Simlipal Biosphere Reserve in Odisha occupies the Simlipal National Park inside it, right? Okay, so next one is Manas Biosphere Reserve in Assam, Panchmari in Madhya Pradesh, Nilgiri in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Sundarban in West Bengal, then Kanchenjunga in Sikkim and Nanda Devi in Uttarakhand, right? So these are the very important national parks, sanctuaries and biosphere reserve of our country, right? So my dear friends, this is all about the in situ conservation of wild animals or the on-site conservation in their natural habitat. We will also discuss about ex situ conservation in my next video session. My dear friends, please go through the description. You can get the link to follow me in On Academy, where I am an educator also. And my dear friends, please subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed yet, and hit the bell icon so that you can get notification of all my uploaded videos and live sessions. Thank you very much for watching.